So last season, the Chicago Bulls were one of the more fun stories in the NBA, especially in the first few months of the season, as they were one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, and one of the best teams in the league, to be honest. Some were even saying that this team had a chance to be a title contender behind the career year from DeMar DeRozan and the All-Star year that Zach LaVine was having. But in the second half of the season, the Bulls' issues were starting to get more and more visible for people to see, as DeRozan kind of came back down to earth and went from playing like a superstar to kind of playing like an all-star. And then Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball, Patrick Williams, and Alex Caruso had all dealt with injuries at some point during the year. But the main problem this team had when it came to on-the-court problems was, first of all, not being able to compete with the elite of the elite teams in the league. They clearly were not on the same level as Milwaukee, Miami, Golden State, Phoenix, and they had a horrible record against those caliber teams. Then another major problem came, and that was the fact that interior defense was a big problem for this team, as Nikola Vucevic kind of struggled this season as a whole. On offense, he was kind of inconsistent, and on defense, he was basically a non-factor, which is something that has been a problem for him basically his whole career. So now that we're in the offseason, the question for this team is, are they a lock for a top 6 seed in the East next season? Now, what have the Bulls done so far in the offseason to improve and, try to get better and hopefully lock up a playoff spot? Really nothing. They haven't done anything. Now, I know they signed Andre Drummond, but no offense to Drummond, I don't think he is solving their problems in the interior. Now, from a rebounding standpoint, yes, he is going to clean the glass. He is going to average 10 plus rebounds a game. But let's not act like Vucevic wasn't grabbing 11 rebounds a game also. What Chicago needed was a guy like JaVale McGee, a guy who would give the defense a boost in the interior, because on the perimeter, they weren't that bad, with Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso being a good little defensive pairing in the backcourt at times. But going into next season with Vucevic and Drummond as your big man tandem doesn't sound like anything that's going to be a big deal defensively, and be able to be a presence for guys like Giannis or Embiid. So they didn't really improve the roster, which means one thing to me, and that's the fact that Chicago's front office is basically just running it back with the same team, and they're just hoping to stay healthy, because like I mentioned earlier, a lot of guys missed time. That really derailed their season and the way they were playing, and I think the biggest impact out of everyone that missed time was Lonzo Ball, because A, he's the point guard, and he was pushing the pace. He was being a big factor for them offensively. And then also defensively, he was also giving them that presence. A guy that opposing teams had to worry about, the other team's guard would have to worry about on that end. The only thing about Lonzo is he's pretty much injury prone. When you look at his career so far and the problems that he's had with his knees at only the age of 24 years old so far, and then you consider the fact that they just signed him in the previous offseason. He hasn't even played a full year in Chicago because he only played about 30 plus games this season. So there's a lot of questions about his health. And then obviously there's the questions about what is this team going to play like next season? Even though they're running it back, it's like, it's not that same feel. You didn't rejuvenate the team. You didn't add anything. It's just, all right, we're going into it. You're basically hoping that DeRozan can get off to an extremely hot start like he did this past season. Obviously, LaVine is going to give you what he's going to give you. You're hoping Lonzo Ball can stay healthy. That's pretty much not going to happen, guaranteed at this point. When you look at the years in his career and the games that he's played, it's pretty much not going to happen. So, I don't really know. This team right now, heading into next season, in my opinion, if they don't make no more moves of significance, at best a 5th seed, and at worst a play-in team. I'd say they're in the same category with the Atlanta Hawks, with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, the same category as the Cleveland Cavaliers with their young core. The Knicks, if they get Donovan Mitchell, they're in that same category too, and then probably the Charlotte Hornets. That's the group they're in. I don't see them in like the same group as Milwaukee, Boston, Miami, Philadelphia. I just don't see it because they just don't got the key elements that those teams have. the defense all around the floor. The offensive firepower, yes, they can score. But the depth also, the bench, it's just not as good. Like Alex Caruso is probably their best bench guy. And then you got Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu and Andre Drummond. But those guys just aren't on the same level as, for example, Boston's bench. Boston got Al Horford and Derek White and guys like that. Those guys are proven quality guys. Derek White can score. Al Horford, a guy that used to be a star, is now playing in his role. When I look at the Bulls, it's just not on that same effect. Like Kobe White is a solid player, but nothing really crazy. Ayo Dosunmu going into year 2 is an interesting guy to watch for. And then Alex Caruso, good player, but if I were to say who I'd rather prefer, I'm taking Derek White over Alex Caruso. And that's no shot towards him, but he's just not on that level. So when I look at the Bulls bench, it's good, it's solid, but it's not on the level of, these other teams in the Eastern Conference that are better than them. And that's why when I look at the Bulls, they're not as competitive as these above 500 teams that are elite. These title contending teams. That's why they're in this second category and not in the title contending category. I think the Bulls win anywhere from about 46 to 48 games next season. And I think they're just the middle of the pack team. They're going to finish 5th, 6th, 7th. But I don't see them finishing in that top 4. I just don't see it. And, we can't even count on Brooklyn. We don't know what they're going to do. But if they stay with KD and Kyrie and those guys can stay healthy, then I can't even put them in that category either. So we'll see what happens. I think the Bulls are going to be a really interesting team to watch next season, just so we can see if they can add on to the success that they had last year. So the Chicago Bulls, definitely a team to watch for heading into the 2022-2023 season. Anyways, that's going to do it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Link will be down in the description below. This has been the Checkup, where we talk hoops and hoops only. And I'll see you on the next video. Peace.